All right, these are your hard trinomials. These are your ones that most of the time are the ones that students struggle with. And that's because of, whoops, this guy. Okay, notice that all of these have coefficients on our x squared terms. Okay, and we can't factor anything out of it because it's 2, 1, 0. So these don't even have anything in common that we could factor out. So these are called trial and error. Okay, so the reason that these are difficult is because that you are going to have to use the factors of 6 and the factors of 7 to add to give you 19. Okay, so before we were just using these factors. Well, now we have something right here, so we have to use both. So we have the factors of 6 are 6 and 1, right? And 3 and 2. Factors of 7 are just 1 and 7, right? So because there's only one factor here, you know that you're going to have a 7 and a 1 of some sort in that place because that's the only factors that you have. Okay, you have to have that present right in those blanks. Okay, but you have two choices here. I can either put, so I'm going to have an x and an x, but I need something in front of my x. Okay, those are either going to be 6 and 1 or 3 and 2. All right, well, we can use a little bit of common sense here, right? Because I need these to add to give me 19. So if I put 6 here and a 1 here, I'm going to get 7x and 6x. Okay, well, if both of the signs are the same, I would get 13x, 7x plus 6x would give me 13x. Okay, we can look right here and see that our signs are not even going to be the same. So it's not going to be 6 and 1. Okay, because if we put 6, we can flip them and put 6 and 1 here. That gives us 42x and 1x. And that certainly is not going to give us 19, right? So let's look at using 3 and 2 in some form or fashion. Okay, so let's put 2 here and 3 here. Okay, well, that gives us 21x and 2x, right? Okay, well, you should notice that 21 minus 2 gives you 19x, right? And that's what we need. So we need our result when we add to be positive. So we said 21 minus 2x. So we need a negative here and a positive here, okay? We need our big number, 7, to be positive, and our small number, 1, to be negative, right? So we do positive, negative. This is our answer. So you can see why these are a little more difficult, just because it really is trial and error. You have to take your factors, multiply them, think of any way that it could create 19. Okay, and then once you see that, I didn't write in my answer, did I? We have 2x plus 7, so I had a 2 and 3. 3x minus 1. There's our answer, my fault. Okay, so that's what makes it difficult, is because you don't think right off the bat what factors you're going to use. You just kind of have to play around and see. Okay, but again, you can always check yourself and say, all right, does this add to give me 19? And it does. Okay, so let's do another one. 7x squared minus 9x minus 10. Let's see what that gives us. So we know we're going to have our parentheses as that. So let's just go and list our factors. So 1 and 7, 1 and 10. I'm going to use a different color. 1 and 10, and 2 and 5, right? Good thing is that we do have this that just has one factor, right? 1 and 7. So we know that we're going to have x and 7x here because that's our only option. You could do 7x. You could do 7x and x if you wanted. It doesn't matter. Whichever order you want to do them in is fine. Now, we need to look at 1 and 10 or 2 and 5 for these two blanks, okay? Well, we need them to give -9. So let's look at 1 and 10. So I'm either going to have a 1 here or a 10 here. That's 7x and 10x. There's no way that those are going to add 7x and 10x. I can't put a negative and a positive. That would give me -3. And if I did a negative and a positive, that would give me +3. Not going to work. So we know we're going to use 2 and 5. So let's put a 5 here and a 2 here. 35x, 2x. Well, that's certainly not going to add or subtract to give us -9. So let's do 2 and 5. So now we have 14x and 5x. And we need this to be negative. So we know our big number is going to get our negative. -14 plus 5x gives us -9x, which is exactly what we wanted. So we know that we're going to give, that we're going to give this a negative, right? Because when we multiplied here, we wanted to get -14. This was positive. So we have x minus 2 times 7x plus 5 as our answer. All right. Last one. I want you to pause the video, see if you can do this one by yourself. And then when you think you have your answer, I want you to pause it or unpause it and see if you get it, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and work this one out. Okay, you should have paused it and come back. And we have 3 and 1 as factors of 3. And 20 has 20 and 1, 10 and 2, 5 and 4. Okay, so we have 3 factors of 20 that we're going to have to choose from. We only have one factor of 3, so we know we're going to have 3x and x. Okay, we need these to add to give us 19x, okay? And this one's a little easier because we have positive and positive, so we know that both of our signs in our parentheses are going to be the same. And they're both going to be positive. So we know that we're going to have this, right? Okay, so we can think a little bit, and we have 20 and 1. Okay, well, that's certainly not going to add to give us 19. 10 and 2 gives us 10x and 6x. Let me do that again. 10 and 2 are going to give us 10x and 6x. Well, that adds to give us 16x, so no. Then we have 5 and 4, okay? So let's do 4 here and 5 here. We get 4x plus 15x. 4 and 5. 4x plus 15x. that gives us 19x, right? So we know we're going to have a 4 here and a 5 here. This gives us our answer. Okay, so on these 3 examples, we have trial and error. Okay. And I know that that's probably not your favorite thing to do. Okay. Those are going to take you some time, right? But there is another way. There's another method for us to do these hard trinomials, right? Okay. And this method is called bottoms up. Okay, you might have heard of it, you might not have. Okay, it's called bottoms up. All right. And I'm going to draw me some lines here. Okay. There we go. All right. Here's how you do bottoms up. You start with multiplying your first coefficient, your leading coefficient, by your constant. Okay. So then you have x squared plus 19x minus 42. Okay. Well, by doing this, now you have this. Well, this one is now an easy trinomial, right? You're using just the factors of 42 to add to give you 19. Okay. So you have factors of 42 are, you have 7 and 6. That one's not going to work. There's no way that's going to add to give you 19, but you do have 21 and 2. Okay, 21 and 2. And we need our middle term to be positive. So we're going to give our bigger constant, okay, our bigger constant, our positive. And you will be tempted to stop here. Do not stop here, okay? That is not the answer. Now, you have to take your leading coefficient, remember, it's over here, and divide this term by it. So we're going to divide by 6. Okay, we divided by 6. And then you're going to simplify your fractions. So you have x plus 3 goes into 21 and 6. So you have 7 over 2, my fault, 2. And x 2 over 6 reduces to 1/3. You're still not done, okay? Then if you have something left over here in the bottom, you move it to in front of your x. So my final answer is 2x plus 7 times 3x minus 1. Okay. So instead of wasting that time, you're not wasting your time, but instead of taking the time to do trial and error and try this factor and try these factors and see if they work out, you can do this process of multiplying your coefficient times your constant, then factoring this guy, which is easier, then dividing each again by your leading coefficient, simplifying this fraction, moving your denominator if you have one in front of your x. Okay, so let's do this one. Draw my lines again. Okay, once again, 7 times -10. So we get x squared minus 9x minus 70. Okay, so now we're looking for the factors of 70 that are going to add to give us -9. We know we're going to have an x and an x here. Okay, factors of 70 include 1 and 70, 2 and 35, and 5 and 14. Okay, wouldn't take you very long to realize that 5 and 14 are the ones that work. So you're going to have -14 plus 5. And we know our 14 is going to be negative because we want our result to be negative. So our bigger number is going to be negative. Remember, do not stop here. Right? We need to divide by 7. We need to divide by our leading coefficient. So divide by 7, divide by 7. Now we're going to simplify our fractions, okay? So we have x minus 14 divided by 7 is 2. So that simplified to a whole number. And then we have 5/7. That did not simplify at all. Now we need to take our denominators, if we have them, and move them out in front. Okay, 2 does not have one. Well, 2 has a denominator and it's 1, so that wouldn't even matter. And we have 7x plus 5. Okay. Let me make that bigger. So we get that. Okay. We're going to do one more. If you want to pause the video and try it yourself, that's a good idea. Okay. So we start again. 3 times 20. That gives us 60. So we have x squared plus 19x plus 60. So now we need to think of the factors of 60 that add to give us 19. And that is 15 and 4. So we have x plus 15, x plus 4, and 15 plus 4 gives us 19. So we know we're right. And we are going to divide each by 3 by our leading coefficient, because we're not stopping here. Right? So our 4/3 does not simplify. So we're going to take 3 and move it in front of our x. And 15/3 gives us 5. So we're going to have a whole number there. So we get x plus 5 times 3x plus 4. Okay. So that is our alternate method there of how to factor hard trinomials. That's called bottoms up. Okay. So that just takes away a little bit more of the dirty work of having to figure out your factors, deal with them. It's a little cleaner, I guess, is a good word, than trial and error. But either method is fine. Okay. Here's our last page. We're going to talk about factoring the difference of squares. Okay. This is